You have no right to be on this property. This is a private ranch and you need to leave. Do not think for 1 second that you can intimidate me.
I came back to my ranch expecting a normal afternoon, but something was terribly wrong. Dozens of HOA security vehicles had surrounded my property, while my workers were nowhere in sight. Then I saw them, my ranch workers sitting together near the barn with their hands restrained behind them. Private HOA guards stood around them like they had authority over the entire property. At the center of it all was the HOA president, shouting orders at everyone around her. She looked completely convinced that nobody would challenge her. I stepped out of my vehicle, wearing the badge they never expected to see. The entire mood changed the moment the HOA guards noticed who I was. One guard stepped forward and demanded to know why I was interfering. I simply showed my federal credentials and told him to step back. I told her I wasn't there because of the HOA. I was there because a federal warrant had already been issued. For the first time that afternoon, my workers looked hopeful. They realized someone with actual federal authority had finally arrived. The guards who had been acting fearless suddenly became very quiet. One by one, they moved away from the workers and waited for instructions. I looked directly at Karen and said, "You don't run this ranch." For the first time, she had absolutely nothing to say. My first priority was getting the workers away from the confrontation. They stood up one by one, shaken but finally free to move. Karen demanded to know what federal business had brought me there. I told her she would get her answers, but not for me on her terms. Then more federal vehicles appeared on the dirt road. Karen's confidence dropped even further when she realized this wasn't a one-man visit. My workers explained what had happened before I arrived. Their story made the situation far more serious than I had expected. I documented every statement and every detail before anyone moved forward. There would be no shouting match, only facts. Karen kept looking around for someone to support her, but every person she looked at seemed less willing to defend what had happened. The federal team explained exactly what the warrant covered. Suddenly, everyone understood why I had arrived with federal authority. The guards were questioned individually about what they had done. Their confident attitude from earlier had completely disappeared. Karen finally understood that an HOA rulebook could not override federal authority. Her expression said she knew the situation had gone far beyond a neighborhood dispute. For the first time all day, the ranch became quiet. The workers gathered near the barn while the federal team continued its investigation. Before leaving, I spoke with Karen one last time. I told her that future decisions would be made through the proper legal process. My workers stood together after everything they had experienced. They knew the ranch was finally safe from the chaos of that afternoon. One by one, the HOA vehicles finally left the ranch road. The same people who arrived acting powerful now left without saying a word. I stayed behind to make sure every necessary statement had been recorded. The ranch deserved a complete record of what had happened. After hours of tension, I finally saw my workers relax. Nobody was celebrating. They were simply grateful that the confrontation was over. From a departing vehicle, Karen looked back at the ranch one final time. She knew the afternoon had changed everything. As the sun went down, the ranch finally felt like itself again. The noise, the shouting, and the intimidation were gone. Before I left, I reminded everyone that no dispute should ever replace the proper legal process. That was the lesson I wanted everyone to remember. That night, the ranch was quiet again. My workers went home knowing that the truth had finally been heard. I drove away knowing the ranch had survived one of its hardest days. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is simply stand your ground and let the law speak for itself. Like, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from.